Hello, this is Bizworld and I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Malaysia's external trade surpassed the 2 trillion ringgit mark for the first time in 2021, a 24.9% increase year-on-year versus a 3.3% decrease in 2020. According to its chief statistician, Dr. Sri Muhammad Uzir Mahidin, exports rose 26.1% to 1.2 trillion ringgit. This was due to significant performances of both domestic exports and re-exports. Domestic exports hit the 1 trillion mark for the first time, increasing 26.6%, while re-exports went up 24% to 229 billion ringgit. Imports also recorded a growth of 23.3% to hit the highest value of 987 billion ringgit. Meanwhile, the trade balance remained in surplus for the 24th consecutive year since 1998, amounting to 253 billion ringgit, an increase of 38.4%. Meanwhile, MATRADE is optimistic that the country's total trade will be higher than last year's 2.2 trillion ringgit. Although IMF has cut Malaysia's GDP growth projection to 5.1%, in line with the global growth downward trend. Its Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Muhammad Mustafa Abdul Aziz, said Malaysia, as an exporting nation, has the advantage of currency besides stronger commodity prices.
We have the advantage of currency because of the depreciation of ringgit, but bear in mind also that we are importing a lot. Raw materials and whatnot for us to produce the finished products. Tetapi what I want to say here is that there's a big demand of our product and services now from the world. The private sector's exporters community are working so hard. Government incentive help the SMEs and stuff. And this is one of the channels that we are using. E-commerce is one of the channels that we believe they go push further.
They said this during the launch of MATRADE digital trade platform MDTP. MATRADE targets to attract 35,000 companies onto this platform, generating up to 70 million ringgit in export value over the next 5 years. Now, Bursa Malaysia's net profit slid 39.4% to 127.44 million ringgit in the first half of this year, from 210.4 million ringgit in 2021. Its chairman, Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, said this was due to lower operating revenue by 26.4%, primarily caused by a decline in securities trading revenue.
External turbulence and global uncertainties remain to be a challenge, and potentially adding to the country's downside risks. The worsening of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the emergence of new COVID-19 variants, and the potential escalation of monkeypox outbreaks are just a few of the challenges that can further disrupt global supply chains and erode our economic recovery efforts.
Despite these global challenges, he said Malaysia's economic growth is expected to be supported by firm domestic demand. This could potentially lift investor sentiment and boost stock market performance. As such, Bursa is on track to achieve at least 37 new listings by year-end. Next, local investment banks expect Bank Negara to raise the overnight policy rate, OPR, by at least 25 basis points, BPS, by year-end, tracking the US Federal Reserve's 75 BPS rate hike on Wednesday. Kenanga Investment Bank said it expects Bank Negara to maintain its hawkish tone and raise the OPR by at least 25 BPS during each of its remaining 2 Monetary Policy Committee meetings this year. Meanwhile, Hong Leong Investment Bank is maintaining its expectation that Bank Negara would increase the OPR by an additional 25 BPS in the September MPC meeting, ending the year with the OPR at 25% from the current 2.25%. The reopening of international borders, transition to COVID-19 endemic status and Special Employees Provident Fund withdrawal scheme are expected to support Malaysia's gross domestic product in the second quarter of 2022. And that's all the time we have for Bizworld. I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Thank you for investing your time with us.